Hi there, everyone. You are tuned into Norwell.
And my name is Lewu.
And my name is Nell.
Thank you for giving me the chance to introduce myself for the first time this time, right? So now this week, what we're actually going to talk about is that what challenges do first-time investors actually face before going into a property industry?
I mean, how we got through to this information was quite interesting. We started a Facebook group and we started a Instagram page, and we also started a Twitter page whereby we've been interacting with people that are interested in property investing and also people that have already invested in property. So this is the data collected by us, and we want to talk about all the red tapes, if one can say, that are around, and I should say all the red tapes around property investing.
So now let's just dive into the content. So now, what would be your number one, right? What would be the number one challenge that you have actually experienced within property investing?
For me, and also it's quite interesting, this was one of the challenges for me and also for the community, from the community. This is one of the information that we got. It's one of the points that have been tapping. Accountability, lack of accountability. I mean, with lack of accountability, it goes so far. It's not only accounting to, okay, I need to invest in this, I need to start my property course. There's a whole lot of phases whereby you need to be accountable as a property investor before you even start investing.
So now what you actually learn about accountability is that you actually need people to be in that journey with you. Right? Most of the time it does happen that you find someone that's totally accountable by themselves, right? So now you see that someone is willing to, they actually thrive within accountability by themselves, right? But now for some of us, man, we need that extra push that, hey man, you said you do this on this particular date. Where are the results? Right? The number one thing that Noah actually talked about is accountability, right? So now, do you have that person in place that will actually ask you that, man, you said you'd have a property by now. What's going on? What's going good? What's going bad? And how do you actually improve on the bad stuff that you are actually going through, right?
I mean, with accountability, it's not only getting that property. With accountability, it starts off small, man. It starts off small. From, I'm going to buy that book that talks about property investing.
Yes.
Did you buy it? If not, there we go. Did you actually find a mentor?
Did you subscribe? Right? Were you able to actually go into our pro property investor network so that you can actually get people who actually talk about property on a normal basis, right?
Sure.
Do you have that group whereby you can actually share information in terms of property investing, right? We're not actually looking about actually buying that particular property. Before we actually go there, let's look at the fundamentals. Are you actually learning about property? But now, because you are here, I mean, it tells me that you're serious with this, right?
So, I mean, with us, we took accountability to another level, because as I'm saying that, it's not only looking at it from buying the property, all these phases that are going to lead towards you getting the property, even with the knowledge. Did I invest in myself with the property, in that property course? I mean, I was speaking to Lebza that we always have to have that mindset of we want to learn. Even 10 years from now, if somebody can come up with a property course and we feel like we can get value out of it, I don't see a problem in that. As long as we can get value out of it, I'll be willing to learn from it.
I like how you actually raised that up, because now it leads us to number two, which is the lack of knowledge, right? People don't have the correct knowledge to actually go into property. Because now one thing that you told is that you could never go wrong with property, right? Just buy a property, rent it out, and then after a while it will actually make you some money, right? So now we're lacking the information for us to actually go into a property, find a good deal, buy that property, and have people who are behind you that might help you in terms of fast forwarding how your process will actually go.
Honestly speaking, I think that's one of the biggest myths, that you can never go wrong in property. I don't think you can never go wrong in property. If you do go wrong in property, it'll be very painful. There's so many people out there. We shouldn't take this for granted. There's so many people out there that are going wrong in property. The worst case scenario, sheriff can come to you and repossess your house, and you still being left to pay off the debt. So it's very important that you strategically position yourself before you even start. I mean, this was one of the key questions. This was one of the questions that was asked. Gents, do you think it's too early for me to invest in my knowledge? in terms of learning about property, I don't think it's never too early. With whatever you do, I think there's a whole study to it. You should actually learn the things. And I'm not saying that nothing will go wrong if you start learning. If you invest in yourself, I mean, we're not saying that nothing will go wrong. Even if you do invest in yourself, there are those things that you might have not anticipated that will go wrong in your property journey. However, that is life. However, now when you're positioning yourself in terms of investing in yourself and knowing most of the things, it's more like driving. With driving, before you actually drive that car, I would want to get the knowledge. I would want to get also the practical experience and then start driving.
Know the road
would you-
signs,
I don't know.
stop signs.
Would you borrow me? I mean, one day I feel like you're gonna own a plane, man. I can just feel that you're gonna own a plane. Will you just let me drive? I'll be like, hey, I think I can take us to. I can take us around the world.
You can drive from the back seat, man. You can drive from the back seat. It's fine. So now on to number 3.
On to number 3 is lack of money. I think this is also another myth.
This is a question that we always get. I do not have money. So now how do I actually go into the property industry? I only have 10,000 rands. So now, would that be enough for me to actually go into property investing?
I think the answer is quite strategic, and it's not a long answer whereby we need 20 minutes to actually answer you. The answer is credit.
So now here's the fun part about credit, right? If you use credit correctly, it could be awesome for you, right? But now if you use it in a wrong way, it could be terrible for you, right? So now how we view credit is that the only time I'll be using my credit card is to do what? To buy investments. Right? So now if I'm actually going to buy a property, that's when I'll actually be using my credit card. If I'm actually going to buy bricks, if I'm going to buy things to actually build a particular property, that's when I'll be using my credit. But I can't use my credit to go down for a coffee. Come on, man. Come on.
You could, I mean, if that is your investment, you could do that. So now with us, it wouldn't be an investment in that regard.
In terms of the coffee, what I meant to say is that go out with a little friends and have some coffee just to relax.
Fill up the table with coffees,
man. No.
One round after another.
No, man.
The bill is on you.
That cannot happen. That cannot happen.
I mean, what I like that you said about there is discipline. So we were disciplined from the onset. Like when we saw, I remember when we thought about credit at first, it was like, why would I want to put myself in credit? Why would I want to put myself in credit? However, we learned with property is that how the banks look at you, the bank look at you that, are you a candidate that's worth enough to actually, we're always talking about bond is worth, but this time, are you actually going to stick to the contract? Are you going to stick to the contract? So in order for the bank to actually approve you for that loan that you asked for, they're going to be looking at how have your patterns been for spending.
I mean, a bank is like a business, right? So now, what do I mean by a bank is a business? Say, for instance, Neo comes to me and borrows money from me, right? And I see that he has been borrowing money from a lot of people, but now he hasn't been paying the people back, right? The chances of me borrowing him, okay, because he is my brother, maybe I might borrow him, right?
Would you?
But now, if he was, I wouldn't borrow you. I would take it that I'm giving it to you. But the bank doesn't operate it like that, right?
True.
So now it's just checking your credit profile, how you have actually been using your money, and are you actually worthy for them to actually take out that money, have that risk to actually give to you and borrow it to you to do whatever you want to do with it.
Key question that just came up. If I do not have credit, let's say I have 0 credit, is that actually good? If I have 0 credit, is that actually good?
Having no credit is also bad, right? It's also bad. So now why would I say that having no credit is also bad, right? If you do go to a bank and say that I want a credit card or I want a home loan and you've never taken any credit in your life, right? Chances are the bank is actually going to say, nope, I'm not actually going to give you, because the bank hasn't actually checked how you actually how your spending habits are. So now the bank won't be able to actually borrow you that particular money. So now the best way to actually go about it is to actually build your credit record. After building your credit record, then you can actually go to a bank and say, hey man, I saw this particular property. Can I please have a loan on this particular property? Without the credit, you won't actually go through.
I mean, this information is quite insightful because let's say you're about to start, you haven't gotten a job, or you're about to start, or maybe let's say it's been a year that you've been in this job, you've been doing this job. That actually enables you to actually strategically position yourself in a manner whereby the bank will look at you as a person who's trustworthy. Instead of doing all these mistakes, then correcting them, we don't know how many years or months it might take, and then only starting to correcting them. So at least through this way, it's about like it's more of pre-planning.
I like how this is flowing. Then another question that they ask that we do get, right? is
Once
that,
you have-
okay, now I have the credit.
Yeah.
So now how do I get that deal? How do I get the right deal? I think this links up to the second thing that we actually named was the having the knowledge, right? Having the knowledge, we always emphasize on having the basic knowledge. Once you have the basic knowledge, you can then build on that particular knowledge that you have built on. But now make sure, I emphasize, make sure that that basic knowledge that you have is actually solid knowledge. Because now you do not want to put a basic knowledge that doesn't really work within the property industry. So now please make sure that the knowledge that you're actually getting, you're getting it from people that are actually grinding, people that actually know the property industry.
I mean, finding deals is quite interesting because it's not just getting this property deal that looks good and then just buying into it and then seeing the results after. There's so much pre-planning that comes into it before you actually even buy the property. Like, where are you right now? Which strategy are you actually looking at? I remember we did a short list of strategy in property investing. There's like this weekend we had a group meeting with our network. We had a group meeting with our network and we shared information about property investing. And we found out that there's actually 11 strategies towards property investing. There's 11 strategies towards property investing. So you look at this property investing strategy, you look at where you are right now. Are you playing the long-term or short-term goal? And you look at the pros and cons with regards to that strategy. So it's not just finding that deal that's profitable. There's so much pre-planning that goes into it. Then only you can be like, you know what, this is the deal that I'm going for, and I'm going for it right now.
Man, I hope you got a lot of value from this particular video. Shooting it, man, was really fun, energetic as Neo always is. Really happy to have you. If you did watch till the end, please post down PRO, P-R-O, right? Then I know that you're really with us.
We appreciate your support so much, guys. I hope that you did subscribe and you share. If you do find, I know that you did find our knowledge very informative, so we'd also appreciate it if you could share the knowledge.